Hey there guys, this is Robin Hood here bringing you a 3v3 replay in Napoleon Total War. This is going to be on Arcole, and our opponents are Beniquan, Lord Vagan, and Butcher. But on my team, to my left here, playing as Britain, is Chris Ebb, and then Mike and Huge far, far left. I'm playing as Prussia, and we're going to fast forward through this first section of the battle. Just because it is a very long battle, so deployment not very necessary. I don't need to take the time to read off the armies. We'll have time to do that later. But this map, if you guys don't have the game and haven't played on it, basically what it is tons of these like little swampy areas, as you can see, with all of these different choke points that you can cross. So rifles are very important on this map, and that kind of stuff, just getting the advantage. I have one replay from a long time ago where there was a massive fight in the center. We had them choke pointed here, just kind of choke points there, here, and I ended up marching half my army across this choke point all the way around back here, and then around this back choke point to come in behind them and end up ending the battle. So it just makes some kind of interesting combat. But my army, I'm going to have 3 Jaegers on this flank for my skirmishing. They have longer range, and then I'm going to have 4 musketeer units, 2 foot guards in the back, my 2 closer range skirmishing units, Prussian Fusiliers there with another foot guard and a musketeer, 7-pounder howitzer, 2 lancers and a Brandenburg Uhlans somewhere. There they are. And my opponent is going to be at a disadvantage right off the bat, just because although he's playing as Britain, which has incredibly nice units, and he has better cavalry here, he only brought 2 rifles. And as I stated at the beginning of this video, skirmishing is very important in this battle. But my army split into 2 flanks to guard these 2 choke points, and Chris here is doing the same. He's sending some troops over to this one, and the bulk of his army over here towards the center. Mike just kind of moving forward. Right now he's going to take up a line along here. He can either move towards us across this bridge or to the left, and he's going to end up crossing this bridge kind of and going to the left, because his opponent over here is going to be very aggressive and move forward, although isolating himself from his allies, just kind of fortify this little hill over here, which is smart because there's 2 choke points that we can actually access onto it. So that's where he is going to set up. But back to my side, I am going to come down here and set up some stakes, and it's going to be interesting depending on the graphics settings my opponent was playing on. Right here I'm playing on all ultra settings. And the foliage and stuff from back here makes it so you can't see the stakes are there. If he didn't have that, they would be obvious because the grass and everything would be gone. But I'm convinced that he was probably playing on higher settings, or just oblivious to the fact that I planted stakes, because that is going to account for some stuff later on, as you guys could probably guess. And here I have all my Jaegers setting up, and because of this thick grass, they are all going to become hidden, which he must not have noticed them already anyways. So at this point I could advance across. I have time. I could advance across and fight him, be a little bit more aggressive. But he only has 2 rifle units, and skirmishing is one of the most important factors on this map. And so this guy being at a disadvantage there, I figure that, I have the time. If he moves up and tries to skirmish, then I can defeat him and push him back that way. And then over here, this bridge isn't much of a worry to me, because it's a pain to cross, and Chris has got guys here, and I've got guys close to support if this choke point comes under attack. But this is a long battle due to all the choke point warfare. And one thing I'll describe real quick, I can do that while this is fast forwarding. Britain here is going to set up kind of along this ridge line there. You'll notice some of his units start disappearing as they become hidden. He does have a 6-pounder horse artillery over there as well. Right here in a second, all my Jaegers are hidden, so I'm going to try to bait this guy's cavalry in by sending one forward out to where he feels like he could probably get a cavalry charge on them, because he doesn't know the other ones are hidden. So I'll go ahead and show that. You can see these guys here, the Jaegers, running out into the marsh. These guys, to my opponent, these two units are hidden. And this horse guard unit, very expensive cavalry unit, very nice, is going to start charging over. And have 3 rifle units volley into it. And there goes one extremely expensive British unit cut down. And look, some of them, even after routing, are going to go in and kill a few of my men. I don't know why that happened, but overall I ended up losing 6 men. Still have a perfectly usable unit, and he lost an entire, very expensive guard cavalry unit. But now his rifles are coming up. My artillery's starting to open fire over here. On the infantry I can see, looks like we got one poor guy. And this guy's gonna start marching over towards this flank, because you can see I'm stacking up my cavalry here. This is the most reasonable place for me to cross. Bulk of my army's there, although I do have some units here, but Britain backing me up, and for some reason Mike sent cavalry way over this way. And if I'm correct, that's probably his only unit of cavalry. Yep, it is. Mike, he just doesn't bring cav. I don't know why. I've tried to explain to him that it can be very useful, but that's just his play style there. So here I'm lining up some troops along the flank there, and you'll see them start firing across at the British foot unit. But the British foot unit is a lot better of a unit than mine. So these guys are actually going to start dealing quite a bit of damage. You can see we're already even in numbers, even though I got first shot and all of that. 103 now, and now I'm actually down in numbers compared to him. Britain's units overall are just better. I don't, I guess that's realistic with the period, best training and all that, but even with my artillery trained on these guys, they're going to start winning, so I'm going to shuffle over another musketeer unit just to make this a lot faster. I'm also doing that in the center so that my Jaegers here can successfully take down these King's German Legion foot, and these stakes actually do provide some cover, which is nice. But I've got a musketeer unit now ready, lined up, and getting ready to fire, I believe. Yeah, there we go. I had to shuffle them forward a little bit. And now they should open fire. There you go. So this British unit is going to go down. What the heck? I just kind of noticed that out of the corner of my eye. Look at that guy getting dragged off, foot caught in the saddle. That sucks for him. Wow. Okay. But yeah, because of the support of this unit, we're going to cut down these foot units, and this guy really isn't sending enough troops over to successfully halt me from winning over here and making a crossing. And Britain here just did a charge. Enemy Britain, not Khrushchev, that got another one of his lifeguards killed. And this is what I was describing earlier. You can see Prussia starting to set up over here. I don't know why France has 2 random units this far out, but Prussia is marching all of its men over, except for these guys. The cavalry, which can move quickly, but it's going to try to set up and fight Mike at these crossings, and you can see he's crossed the bridge in the center, getting ready. He was actually moving out that ways, but he's going to have to come over here and fight Prussia. And over here, my cavalry came across, Lancers against Dragoon Guards. His men are going to actually win in that melee fight, even though I got the charge bonus. But my Brandenburg Uhlans are going to come in and pretty much clean that up and save my Lancer unit as well. But at this point here, you can see all my cavalry is coming across the river, and my men are all lining up to get ready to cross. There's really nothing opposing us So the little fire we may take isn't going to be anything much. But at this point, I'm going to fast forward it again. There goes my 13-man Lancer unit, just trying to cause some damage over here. One more Dragoon Guard unit getting heavily charged. And then this guy just keeps bringing in cavalry. He had like 5 or 6 of them. And it's actually going to prove to be a problem. This was, whoa, my bad. When you come out of fast forward, for some reason your screen moves like really quickly and randomly. But when you come out of fast forward, or no, that's not what I mean. When I moved across the river, my mistake was bringing my Jaegers. They can easily fire across right here into all of this and be safe. And these guys should have been running, but all this French cavalry is coming in now, and I don't want to lose my Jaegers. My Lancers can only hold for so long, and so some of my skirmishing is actually going to die here. And here I'm going to try to run them away and actually save them, but this amount of cavalry, you know, yes, it is in a sense a suicidal charge, but this guy is just really disrupting my lines and my movements and making this crossing a much bigger pain than I actually thought it would be. So I'm trying to run my Jaegers across back here, and here I am moving my other skirmishing units onto the river because they are going to be able to shoot across. And you can see my Jaegers trying to escape. I've still got one full unit of them here skirmishing with this rifle unit over there of Britons. But that's pretty much that. The British cavalry is gone. This French cavalry is not. And some of them, they managed to actually just avoid my stakes there. This unit, however, I believe does not. They're getting shot down. They're going to rout. But over here, I'm trying to save my lights from getting hit again. And this here, I can't remember. This is Khrushchev's cavalry there. Yeah, you can see because of the red attack order. And he and my men here are going to just kind of sandwich this British unit. And that's no good for them. They're going to rout like immediately, getting both those lines hit them at pretty much the exact same moment. So that worked out well. And now, although my lines in disarray are going to be able to start pushing forward again, I'm also bringing over these foot guards and all of that. Those are Chris's cavalry again. We're going to start crossing in force over here, but Britain still has this horse artillery unit. But besides that, this is Chris across the river. This is kind of confusing, telling who's who, but that organized troops moving forward there is Chris, and over here you can see Mike just kind of in a skirmish with Prussia and France, who's now, he's got this hillside held. There's hidden units there, and right now it's just kind of a standoff. This is going to be the last battle to actually take place in a large scale. So everything's lining up over here. You can see my men have now made it across, and there's just a lot of dead horses. That's where that happened. So my men had a harder time crossing than I actually ended up expecting, but overall we ended up succeeding, and the rest of my men are going to start crossing the bridges here. And I'm bringing my artillery as well, which really isn't going to take a part in the rest of this battle. Just too far back, too slow. The battle is going to move forward a lot more quickly than it can. But you can see the last of the British units. This is just a rifle unit, and Chris is just going to charge it because rifles just can't handle melee. And France, this is what he did the whole game. He sent forward skirmishing units, tried to, you know, pick a few shots and then move on. And he's lining up 3 Young Guard back here. That's tough. And a lot more cavalry once again. Looks like we've got, these are Chris's cav, I believe, running away. Yep, That's what they are, and these guys aren't. See, if I see that attack order, I can see what Chris's men are doing, you know? So that shows, that's what identifies it. But besides that, Britain's pretty much gone, so anything British you see from here on is pretty much Chris, except for over here. Look, this guy just brought so much cavalry. He just has cav sitting in the back. It was slightly annoying the whole game to deal with, just the randomness of the cav charges. And in the center, Chris is skirmishing with the French over here. All these are voltigeurs, the longer range skirmishers. For some reason, only the unit in the center is actually firing. What was that? Where is that artillery? There they are, horse artillery, yep. With one gun left. So I don't know how the others were lost. I don't know if it was an artillery duel or not. And over here you can see still just kind of a standoff. What's going to end up happening, you can see this French push in the center. It thinks it can blow out the British center, which Britain is a tough country to attack. And look, he's bringing over more units even. Just because their statistics are they're just better. They're pretty much, well, they are 100% the best infantry country you can be. Their cavalry doesn't really have any lancers, but if you play it right, it, in fact, is also pretty much just kind of better. It's, you know, all these life guards, horse guards, all that good stuff. And right here, Chris's rifles are actually going to get caught by this. This was a good charge, but now these life guards are going to come in and mop up this cavalry. Taking a volley on the way. That's pretty much that.
The men are fatigued, sir.
Where's what I'm looking for? My artillery's back here. There's French cav somewhere behind. I believe there. Yeah, France. These guys are going to come back from routing and end up taking out my artillery. So my artillery isn't really going to do anything the rest of the battle. But at this point, Chris is now engaging his opponent in the center, as you can see. And Mike is fighting an opponent who is well set up and has really nice units. He's got a lot of foot guards, which are giving Mike some problems since he's playing as Austria. And so he's going to end up needing help. And what's going to happen is I'm going to tell Chris, you know, after he obviously deals with this here, you go on and help Mike here, because I am going to go forward, fight all this French. I'm going to fight the French troops here that end up falling back, and, you know, he's got more guys back here. So I'm just going to take over this whole side of the battle, because my army's pretty much fine even after, you know, fighting over here. So Chris over there, Mike I mean, is the one that needs help. And you can see actually right here, these are my units. I was sending them over this way to actually go help Mike at that time, but with France falling back here, I said, you know what, I'm going to keep these guys, you move forward, you go ahead and help Mike with Prussia. And now Mike here is bringing over the rest of his units because it's obvious that the fight is going to be in this plain and he's having to fall back due to these skirmishers. So Prussia's making some gains, and at this point, they're kind of overextending themselves. They're gonna get hit on the flank, but it's gonna be a tough fight over there. So at this point, this guy, he has one unit of voltigeurs, not that big of a problem. Fusilier line, Young Guard, 3 of them. I've got most of my army here, you can see just coming forward, setting up. This unit's pretty much worthless. And what is that? Yeah, here was the enemy British cavalry, which walked through my stakes, so they are unharmed. But these guys are going to come around and try to hit the artillery. And Chris is actually sending a lifeguard unit to try and take them out. But they're just going to ignore them and run through, kill my artillery. So that's going to be the end of them. You can see setting up here. I have the skirmishing, so I'm going to move forward and start picking at these guys, as you can see right there. And here's Chris's army shooting at a little bit of these French here.
The men are fatigued, sir.
And I forget exactly how this is going to go. There's something really cool at the end of this battle, and I'm trying to remember what allowed it to happen. So we'll see what the French does, but you can see here he's charging a young guard and a fusilier of the line. They are going in melee charge, and you can see taking a ton of losses along the way, just dropping as they charge. But these are dangerous units in melee. I'm actually going to let my light infantry get hit, just because with them taking the hit, you know, all of these guys can shoot these guys down pretty quickly, and I should still have lights left, and if not, they don't have that many. Wasn't that big of a deal to me. Over here, charging in a foot guard to help out. Fusilier of the line's not going to do anything there. Foot guard's firing in back here. So that melee charge is pretty much done, and whose is that? There goes my general. Where is he? Yes, here he is over here. He actually ended up fighting this light dragoon unit over my dead howitzers and died. But at this point, you can see Chris here has the center, and his units are going to start moving over towards Mike, who is now fighting Prussia, and Prussia is going to have to start falling back down this area here. And I am sending over one unit of musketeers here to help out, and these guys are going to do some pretty awesome things, which you guys will see a little bit later. You can see I did end up losing that Prussian Fusilier unit. They're going to come back from routing. They have 29 men, and yeah, they'll be back. And at this point, this guy still has a horse guard unit. And I remember just sitting here like, how does he have so much cavalry when I saw that moving on the flank? Because I didn't notice it when it was back here. But he's got a King's German Legion foot here, his artillery,
this building has fallen
and
to
a
the
horse
enemy.
guard, and his general. And France is pulling back his voltigeurs. He just pulled back his young guard. There's another young guard. Both these units. This one's full. This one's almost full. Lost 2 men, young guard. And he's going to put another unit in there too, probably this Fusilier line. But he's just going to kind of hole up in that building and try to survive there. And I'm going to send a unit of foot guards to try to take out these voltigeurs. Yep, there goes the Fusilier line and the other one. So all of France really is going to try to just fight and die in that building. Here you can see there was a cav charge on my flank. What's going on now? He's going to try to run around me. And I was trying to line up and actually fire, but my men were too slow. So what I'm going to have to do is form a line facing backwards here. I didn't know what he was going for, so I'm just going to try and counter it. But at this point, my army's moving forward. This King's German Legion foot is going to put up a ton of resistance for really, I mean, it's just because they're Britain, high morale, their general's near, so these guys are going to fight to the last. And this unit of musketeers here is going to end up getting wrecked. I have them turn their flank to start shooting at this King's German Legion foot, but I know I need to do something about that horse artillery. And here this guy did charge in the back. We've got foot guards there in square to halt that advance. And over on this end, my unit's sitting right here, but you can see it's now Britain and Austria. Chris is just leaving a few units guarding here, even though all of France is in that building, and he's going to start bringing over the rest of it too. But it's just kind of an open engagement here, and Prussia's actually going to do very well in this, surprisingly. He's got some foot guards back there. Musketeers over here. But this engagement, as of right now, is going just fine. And here goes my unit. I just sent my unit forward in a melee charge, just for the heck of it, because I couldn't shoot these guys in the back, you know, my allies. And this melee charge is actually going to work and punch through this right flank. So that was kind of cool. It's kind of confusing since it's Prussia on Prussia, so we're not going to watch that. That's just so you guys know what happened. And there you can see some really long-range canister coming my way. And look at this. Canister combined, you know, my guys charging this artillery. They're going to rout immediately here at 64 men, just because they're surrounded by 9 guys on this side and the general staff. But they actually ended up getting these guys off of their guns, which is going to help me. And I'm going to attempt to shoot up this general staff here. And you can see this King's German Legion foot holding now at 36 men. Guy got shot. All these guys fighting my men in the woods. And I've got kind of an arc of fire on him. These guys going into square because of the general. Same with over here. I didn't know which one he was going for. And all Chris is fighting over here is just taking some skirmishing fire. I believe these men are actually firing. So he's just kind of skirmishing there. You can see this is my unit after all of that. They're still alive at 31 men. And they're going to do another melee charge later.
Our men are running.
But it's at this point that Prussia is pretty much going to pull back. He's got 2 foot guard units here. So his front line's gone. And now I have taken out Britain completely, and all that's left is this French force. 2 beat up Fusiliers of line and 2 almost full Young Guard. And that fight's going on over there. And what's left of my general is going to come over and hit these Voltigeurs, who are trying to actually run to the building. Or no, it looks like they're lining up to try and shoot me. But that's not going to happen. And that's not a lot of cavalry, but it's going to do some damage to these guys. And the French cav here, I tried to line up and actually shoot it, but it's just going to run by. So I was like, Chris, watch your artillery. This might be where it's going, probably, because these guys are shelling this area. Shooting at my general, actually. You can see the guys in the building now shooting out. Look at that. There's just tons of men in this building. Whoops. And we'll see. Yeah, see, the whole place is just packed. The upper floor there. So I'm gathering all of my infantry up. There. And over here, it's kind of the last stand of Prussia. Although the foot guard units he has left is making it very dangerous. Just because those units are excellent units, great in a fight. And here goes my musketeers forward once again to die. That's the point, but just as a meat shield for these foot guards. And yes, they did, in fact, hit the artillery. General's dead, though. So now,
our men are running, sir.
This is going to be pretty much the end of the battle. Let me actually get a better angle. I don't want to move while it's in fast forward so you guys can kind of see what's going on over there. But my army, there it goes, having pushed from way back there all the way around. Out shooting these guys out of the building, not an option. Chris's artillery could easily take the building down, but it would be a long time before they get here. I've got 1, 2, 3. We've got 3, maybe 4 foot guard units here. 5 infantry units in total. And overall, just more men. But I've got better troops, the 3 foot guards. And look at this. My men are going to storm the building. They are taking fire while doing so. But it's not that bad. So this building now has 714 men in it, and now the number is starting to go down even as more men pour in. The number's going down rapidly, actually. Now everyone's in, and we are at 697 men, and that number is just going to start decreasing even more. because it's a brutal melee fight in there. But you see, I have 2 units. Now we can read them. Musketeers, Musketeers, and 3 foot guards. There we go. Yep. And one of this French units is already dead, but he's still got a Fusilier and the 2 young guard, which are going to be the ones that put up the real fight. But you guys can just see in there the crazy amount of men fighting, and those guys just standing there with their backs turned. No one's made it upstairs yet, so all these guys are sitting and waiting for their turn to fight. But over here, the last of Prussia is starting to go. Chris is sending, or Mike, sorry, keep getting them mixed up, sending his troops around this way. You can see how this battle with Prussia has progressed from over here about. But this whole field, as you guys saw, you know, it started way back here, and now it's progressed all the way to the left side of the battle. And usually, it seems when I do these bigger team battles, that seems to be how it goes. One side opens the engagement. Very rarely does every side, you know, engage at once, and then it starts to sweep down the other direction, depending on which team wins there. And then there have been times where, not with this little amount of troops though, but where I've seen, you know, and been in games where the last person wins against everything else. You can see my Prussian troops here still doing their best. The young guards holding out strong. Let's see if there's any fighting upstairs yet. Nope. Still all just, look at that guy getting stabbed there. And there they go, storming up the stairs. We'll see them better from this end. Yeah, look at that, there's just so many. But we are now down to 564 men. My army is going to take, I believe, out of all of our armies, the most casualties, and the majority of that had to do with this melee fight. You know, in a shootout, you can flank, and it's, you know, you can just destroy a unit without taking many losses. In that melee, plus he has good units, you know, it's tough. It's every single man. There's no real flanking, especially in a building. So you can just kind of see that fight going on back there. And we were just laughing at it, how at the same time as they're pushing here, you know, it's the giant melee fight going on in the building back there, the last stand of France and Prussia at the same moment. Let's see here. What is that? I still have some Jaegers. I don't know why I was bringing them all the way over. But Mike is now lining up in the back. This foot guard unit is going to take a volley and pretty much just disintegrate. And that's going to be the end of them. And then Chris here, look at that, the British there. That was canister volleys that did that. Yeah, he charged a unit over and the artillery just shredded it. So artillery, you know, close range can be devastating, but now with all of this coming in, it's over. And in the building, I believe it's just the young guards left. No, one young guard's gone. And my men are getting tired in the building, but the French have to be as well. And look at that. It just piles of dead on the inside there. Some men still fighting downstairs. Most of it up top. That guy getting stabbed through, yep. So that's how it went. These guys are about to rout, and there we go. We took the building. Heavy losses, each of my units, a lot of which had, you know, over 100 men at the beginning, down like that. But you can see there, my army, as I said, losing the most in the end, mainly because of that melee fight, killing the most there. Chris coming in second, and it kind of went like that. Lost the most, killed the most, lost the second most, killed second most, lost the least, killed the least. It's So kind of descending order there. And then these guys, Prussia there doing the best, killing a lot of men. And that's pretty much that. Seeing my best units being foot guards there. But I know that was a long battle, just found it kind of interesting. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you all with more next time. Thank you for watching.